I finally saw Barbie.
Oh, okay.
It took a while because I could not get myself out to the theater, and then it was sort of like, whoops, I really missed the pink boat and the pink jet ski and the pink tandem bike.
3 months later, you missed it.
I know. What? Well, I mean, it's not that much.
So where did you watch it? Because it's out of the theaters now.
It is currently available on Max.
Okay,
so
got
it was on HBO, and I was clicking by, and I'm like, no, Catherine, don't watch this from the middle. So I very skillfully turned the channel and didn't watch it from the middle because I was like, no, I need to like do it right. And then I was like, but obviously now it's available because if it's on HBO, then that means it's available on Max, the app, or the streaming service, or usually that's how it works once a movie is on HBO, and then I can watch it on Max. So I watched it on Max by myself. Cera did start it with me, and then she got a headache and left. So I do a lot of like start with someone, and then oops, I have to finish it by myself. Okay, so I mean, it did not disappoint. I'm not sure if I knew exactly what I expected the movie to be because there was tons of press about it, but I didn't really fully get. I'm like, oh, it's
the
Barbie.
Concept.
Yeah, Barbie's going to come into the real world. Why and how and all of that, I didn't know. And then I didn't fully get what was going to happen with the Kens. Turn it into like some real woo. The Kens went off the ranch with their whole obsession with horses was hysterical.
Well, they love the patriarchy. Unless it doesn't include horses.
I mean, that whole thing was so funny. Yeah, so Margot Robbie, amazing. I had thought she was going to be good, and then she was really heartbreaking in certain moments. Just so fantastic. Ryan Gosling was comically ridiculous and fantastic.
Like, I don't know if he's going to be nominated for an Oscar.
But he kind of should be.
He should be. I mean, that was one of those performances you're like, I don't know what kind of movie this would have been without him.
Yeah, if he couldn't have pulled that off the way he did, it really was amazing.
I can't think of any other actor's performances, like not contemporary to him, and for sure not any of his contemporaries, but I can't think of another performance that is like, that fed the narrative and the plot and didn't take away from anything in a way that still highlighted himself. I can't replace him in my head with anyone else trying that and not making it a little bit of their own spotlight.
So he really kenned it?
He kenned all the way to the beach for me.
I'm sorry, no, he had Canergy.
So much Canergy.
There was a People article that came out recently that Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek was offered Ken. It is impossible to envision him as Ken after seeing Ryan Gosling in that role. And now listen, there were multiple Kens who were all fantastic in it, but...
Well, maybe that was it. Maybe he was going to be a different Ken.
Maybe.
Because that's what it was. There were so
Alan.
many Kens.
Yeah,
He wasn't going to be Alan.
Well, the funny thing
Actually, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, the other Alan they talked about was Jonathan Groff. But then the three Kens that they often list, Bowen Yang, Ben Platt, and Dan Levy, they kind of have Alan energy? I don't know.
Oh, that's
yeah, they don't have the Kenergy to me. They could not, because there's something about...
But I would have accepted them as any of the myriad other Kens.
for sure.
Hi, Ken.
So many Kens. In fact, let me just call out the Kens that, like, for me, were just like... Also, I didn't fully get that that's what they were going to do. But it's like, you just have all these different Kens, and they're also going to, like, be super good friends, but then also have a fight. And, like, the whole I'm Just Ken song sequence was... First of all, much longer than I thought it was going to be. It like had multiple parts and just went on and on.
That was produced by Mark Ronson, and he's not going to F around. Like, he took it seriously.
Well,
and
yeah,
it's genius.
Did you hear that story? Like, apparently, so they've been working with Barbie, with Greta Gerwig for a while, and like all these other artists, and he's also going to maybe write some songs, and he had some idea. He was out in New York City and walking around. That line came to him. I'm Ken, anywhere else I'd be a 10. Yeah, you should write a song about that. Good job.
Wow, yeah.
I do want to say that for me, that song kind of harkens back to the Muppet movie. Am I a Muppet or a man? It's like, really? Like, that's the whole movie right there. You nailed it with that.
Because it's existential.
Yeah.
Like, who am I?
What's going on?
I'm just Ken.
Am I a Ken or a man?
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
Ed.
Yeah.
I
wow.
wonder, Mark Ronson.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
And very existential, too, the Billie Eilish song for the end. Like, what am I here for? What am I made for? Yeah. I mean, wow. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's really the core of the movie, which was so smart that it was so deep underneath this shiny layer.
What was I made for?
What was I made for? Thank you.
And just going back to the very beginning opening with, the caveman mentality of the baby dolls.
Which is really historically accurate, that's what happened.
This is what I got to give Greta and Noah.
Baumbach,
her writing partner and partner in life. And Mattel, kudos to a corporation getting on board for going, you can sort of poke fun at us, use our history, use our archives, because who the hell knew Alan even existed? And then some of the other characters that they would, what was the one man, was it Midge?
The pregnant one? What I think is so amazing about Midge is that's director Emerald Fennell, who just did Saltburn. Because she's an actress and has done a bunch of stuff as an actress, but I love that.
I thought we discontinued her.
Yeah.
It's so great. So that's Mattel. I got to give them kudos.
Yeah.
Of going, you know what, to reinvent the Barbie brand, to have new eyes on it, but to pay homage to it.
Yeah.
This was such a awesome balance that the chord they struck. So you're going back to the Kens that you liked.
Okay, so sorry. Yeah.
Beyond the awesome, Ryan Gosling.
Yes. Okay. So it was Simu Liu.
Oh, his arch rival.
Which he was so good. And I just love that, like, the seriousness of it. All the Kens did such a great job of being so serious when being so ridiculous. And then Scott Evans, who is Chris Evans' brother, was in there, who was really good. He was one of the main core Kens. And then John Cena showing up as a mermaid Ken, or mer-Ken.
Okay, did you hear the backstory on that?
No.
So basically he was desperate to be in the film.
What?
And listen, you got to give John Cena, I'm sure he has a course on life, life coaching, empowerment, follow your dreams, because he asks for stuff. And because in life, what's the worst someone can say? No. So supposedly he's like, I want to be part of this film so badly. And he might have been on the lot doing something else. So he, the energy probably around Barbie was awesome. So he's just like, how do I get in there?
Well, nice that it's got a big, wide cast too, so you can put people in it.
So it's basically like, actually, you know what? Would you be a mercan? It's a one-day shoot. You're basically just going to pop up and say, hi, Barbie.
Wear a goofy wig.
Do your best Fabio impression. I'm in. I'm
100%.
Pretty much.
And kind of stole that little moment.
Yeah. I would like to say, there are some things I would like to buy from that movie. I would buy the current Alan. I would buy the merman.
Yeah.
Like Barbie versions of those. I want a John Cena merman doll edition.
Yeah.
Make that.
Is Mattel going to put out a line?
Next billion, guys.
Yeah, they should.
We grew up in the era of Barbie, although we weren't allowed to have them. That's another story for another time. But, it was one of those things where you're like,
is this based on something real? Yeah.
You're like, Alan could not have been real. I mean, who in the marketing development team thought Alan? I mean, poor Alan. Now that's his name.
I have a guess. If we looked, it's probably a guy named Alan.
Well, yes. So shout out to Michael Cera, who played Alan, who was delightful. Like, he was so sweet, and like you just were like, oh, Alan. And I forget who said it, but especially when they're like all in their pink jumpsuits and Alan's in a pink jumpsuit, he's like, he's with the girls and he's just trying to help. And it's like, yeah, because he's not in this Kennergy misogynistic grossness. He was amazing. He was amazing. So the last little thing that we should mention, Will Ferrell and Rhea Perlman within the world of Mattel. That's sort of what you're talking about, that they were really willing to be like, no, we can have a goofy bad CEO of Mattel. Oh, we can actually pay homage to, in Rhea Perlman's character, the creator and founder of Mattel, Ruth Handler. I mean, like, genius. I thought that was so good.
Some people had different expectations when the actual movie came out and they were going and they thought this was going to be, I don't know, all pink bubble gum, plastic cars.
Yeah, because it's got a pretty deep message.
Right, and the deeper message. But there were times it was told, even through Will Ferrell's character, with his board of all men in suits. I mean, there were truly moments of like self-reflection.
Yeah.
That you were like, oh. And like I said, that Mattel let that happen.
Absolutely.
And probably was based on accurate history, was pretty brilliant.
Well, speaking of your accurate history, were you going to mention about, like, at the end when they showed a lot of the, like,
so I was like,
photos.
Alan does not exist. I do remember Midge for some weird reason. I remember there being a pregnant Barbie. And I
remember the Barbie that her boobs grew, too. Not the one
that
with the TV in the back.
So weird.
But the Barbie with the boobs. Yeah.
This is why her mother was like, you're not allowed Barbies.
Like, what?
Like all these weird things. But, it was like the pregnant girl, you're like, okay. And it was just one of those odd things where you're like, Alan, like Alan could not exist. And when they started to show all the different
original packaging.
Oh my gosh. Listen, there were ones, and I understand people still even have. Didn't your husband buy your daughter some Barbies at one point that were like the big glamorous ones?
Yeah. Oh yeah. She has a
like
couple
in the Bob Mackey.
Barbies,
like don't open those. Like it's in a Bob Mackey dress. I still would want one of those. Those are so glamorous.
Yeah.
But just the history of Barbie, watching it and how it's pivoted through the years. Like I've told the story on our other Family Dynamics podcast. I just wanted the bust where it was just the head of her.
Where you do the hair and the makeup. Yeah.
Yes, because what most people end up doing with those is they would color her and make her completely wacko because it was a borderline real life head. Then the Barbie played by Kate McKinnon, Weird Barbie, doing the splits.
Oh, just everywhere.
Painted, like, I mean, there was just moments with her. I mean, she can do a crazy eye.
Oh, she's
really
so
hard
good.
focused on you. And, so I just thought there was even the supporting cast was just fantastic. And it looks like that's one of the ones you can tell, like, that was just good, fun energy when they were in Venice in their rollerblading outfits. Then they had to get into regular clothes and they came out of their regular clothes. I mean,
those cowboy outfits.
And Ryan Gosling, you know what it was? He never winked at the camera.
No.
He literally did with such conviction that you just like, oh my gosh, you're like, God, Barbie, why don't you like him? And I like it because we were sold the narrative our entire childhood. And that's one of those things I say, Mattel allowed them to go, actually, Ken and Barbie really aren't together. Or she's really not that into him. I mean, that was shocking because our entire life was basically Ken and Barbie and Ken. Like that, they're together. They're like, she's like, no, why would you want to spend the night?
Oh my God,
no, we're boyfriend, girlfriend. Are we? Like,
what does that mean?
That was shocking that they went that direction. And it just, like I said, come on, Academy. I don't know who's behind this, but make it happen.
Well, we'll see.
I did like an interview moment I saw of Ryan Gosling's where he said, there are no other Ken roles to research this with. There's no place to go hang out with other Kens to find a Ken. There's no like documentaries about being Ken. I had to figure it all out myself.
He nailed it.
He nailed it. Well, yeah. So some of the other Barbies, you mentioned Kate McKinnon as Weird Barbie. Amazing. I loved Alexandra Shipp as I guess she was writer Barbie, which I like that they all had like different little monikers or like what their job was.
Right.
Issa Rae as President Barbie was fantastic. Loved her energy. Emerald Fennell as Midge, the pregnant Barbie, which technically not a pregnant Barbie. She's just Midge. It's a different thing. And then Dua Lipa as the mermaid Barbie. All of that was amazing.
And Dua Lipa provided that great song.
Oh,
dance the night away.
That was such a great sequence, that dance sequence.
Yeah, because you're having a dance party tonight.
With bespoke songs and, oh my God, amazing.
I went looking immediately for the soundtrack and was disappointed to find that the in-movie iterations and different lyrics of like the opening where she's like, yeah, it's a great day. Uh-oh, there goes the lemonade. What happened now? Whoa, you all right, girl? When she like falls off the roof.
Oh, uh-huh.
That's not available on the soundtrack.
Oh, no.
That's the only one I want to listen to now.
Oh. The in-movie use of it.
Just to say, one of the things about Mattel, like they just came out with a, like Hollywood for Barbies. And, there's still lessons to be learned. It was like the executive, the star, and it was like the director. And like the one thing they did not have was the writer.
Oh, no.
So you're like, okay. But, but on the other flip side, one of my good friends from high school, Kara Walsh, her daughter, Mia Armstrong is her name, and she's had a book come out on Amazon. She is a spokesperson for the Down syndrome Barbie that came out with about the last year.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's like, listen, Barbie has expanded with body image, different types, everything. And so the diversity, they're trying to incorporate it, but, there's still, I just have to laugh because we're writers. I'm like, I don't know. You're doing a Hollywood package. The writer is kind of important. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. Was she a pen and paper, like with a computer pad? Like, you're probably like, oh God, boring.
Oh my God, how funny.
There is a fifth one. You didn't see that? It's a much smaller package. She's a little hunched over. She's got glasses.
How stereotypical. What are you saying? Stop.
She's really like, oh shit, I spelled that wrong.
Oh my goodness.
The last shout out about the movie that I want to make is there were 3 actors from a series I love, Sex Education.
Oh.
So we had the new Doctor Who, Ncuti Gatwa was one of the Kens. We had Emma Mackey, who was one of the Barbies. And then the guy working at Mattel, who's the first one to notice that it's all going wrong, is Connor Swindle, who is, I mean, for me, to like see these three from Sex Education in this movie was kind of magical.
It probably means either the casting director likes Sex Education, or Greta did. I mean, to pull three actors from a series, there's an agent, there's somebody involved, somebody's making it happen. That's an interesting coincidence.
Wait, they didn't do a group audition?
They might have.
Although I do think maybe how this sort of came about is that there is a longstanding within the internet community a comparison between Margot Robbie and Emma Mackey, that they look very similar. So they could have, been more aware of Sex Education because of that. And then, it's a great show and it's a great cast, and I love that they pulled people in from it.
And vice versa. I've heard interviews of Margot Robbie saying, meeting people that are like, we loved you on Sex Education. She's like, yep.
That's not me. Yeah, they do look very similar. If you see side by side, it's kind of like a trick that people do, like put their pictures side by side and like, which one's which, Margot or Emma? Like, anyway, it's funny. But so I finally saw Barbie and I loved it. I mean, not a controversial opinion.
No, $1 billion+ at the box office.
People seem to have enjoyed it.
Yes.
And I agree.
Yes.
Okay.